Hi, so I'm here with Celeste Taylor, who's currently in Sydney enjoying her first day in the capital of Australia, right? It was your first off day. And
Yes.
what did you do today?
I mean, you can probably tell I'm a little sunburned. It was
Okay,
beautiful outside. So I was able to go to the beach with my teammates and just enjoy the sun.
okay. And how do you find Australia in general?
Yeah, I love it. I always thought about coming to Australia, so to actually be here is kind of crazy, but it's been really great. It's we're in a great location, close to the facilities, and so I've been enjoying my time here.
Okay, and did you thought about coming to Australia as a tourist or as a place that you wanted to play basketball in?
I think both. I had a freshman year best friend when I was at Texas. She's from Australia, so we always talked about playing with each other. I never thought that it would like actually happen and I would be in Australia, but I got to see her last weekend, so it's pretty cool.
Okay. And what are your impressions of the country so far? Apart from enjoying the sun, what else are you enjoying?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of diversity. I think I didn't really expect there to be as many. There's a lot of like Mandarin people here. They have a very diverse food culture, and so there's like a lot of different kinds of foods, nothing specific to Australia. Um, and the people are pretty kind for the most part. I think a big change for me was having to drive on the other side of the road, but I've gotten pretty used to it now.
Okay. Can I ask you about your first game also?
Yeah.
Because you actually were a starter, right? 8 points, 4 rebounds, a block, a steal, I think, right? So very all around the place, but in a good way. So you impacted the game in a number of ways. So how do you evaluate your performance in your first game, in which your team basically demolished the competition?
Yeah, we did pretty well. We did really well together. I think there were definitely times where we could have been a little bit better on the defensive end and just continuing to get great shots for us. But we have a really great team this year. I think that for me, they're just trying to help me settle in a little bit more and get under my feet, especially with the refs and the competition and even my teammates still trying to learn them. I've only been here for a little bit of over 3.5 weeks now, so almost 4 weeks. And so it's been, a little bit of a challenge, but they've been great trying to help me. My coach is really good, just, letting me find my comfortability within the offense and just allowing me to play. I got into some foul trouble. I wasn't used to refs calling quick fouls like that. But like it's a game, and so I gotta play along with it and learn how to um play with however the refs call it. But yeah, I mean it's been great so far, and we have a big one coming up this weekend. And so it should be really fun.
Okay. And you seem to get along nicely with your teammates. I mean, there's a video online with you and Shanice Swain. You two seem to have great chemistry together off the court. Is it true that you guys get along well? And is the chemistry similar like on the court as well?
Yeah, I think I'm close with a lot of them off the court. I mean, everybody's been great, very welcoming, and then, allowing me to have a leadership position and be able to be that import and help in any way that I can. And so, obviously the past 3 weeks have been obviously trial and tribulation, but for the most part, we've got to learn each other. We got to grow outside of the court, and they're just great people, and they just kind of grabbed onto me pretty quickly. So it's been pretty cool. And then on the court, yeah, I mean, I think we're obviously still trying to find it. I think it's coming, but it's definitely great to be able to know that your teammates have your back and lean on them from that chemistry on the outside.
And does the fact that you've been playing and playing well in so many places also contribute? to the fact that you like get along better with people? Like you've been to Texas, Duke, Ohio State, and the WNBA on three teams in your first year. So is it something that you sort of developed organically, or is it something that you needed to develop in order to just well, quickly build bonds with people in new places?
Yeah, I think it definitely stemmed from college, my college career being in multiple places. Um, I think that adaptability piece is something that I take as some a strong suit. You know, not everybody had got the chance to transfer to three different schools and have four different head coaches. So I think that has definitely been very vital to my career. Even when I was younger, I always moved around a lot. And I think my parents put me in great positions to be able to be adaptable and adjust in very different circumstances and a lot of different circumstances. So yeah, I for sure think that my experiences prior have played a major part in just being able to be very adaptable and learn to get along with people quickly and in turn find my role and my space in different organizations pretty quickly as well.
Okay. And the fact that you grew up in a diverse neighborhood probably contributed to that, right? Because you grew up in a Colombian household in New York. So can you tell us more about what it was like growing up in that sort of community?
Yeah, so I grew up in Queens. You know, I was around a lot of different people, and then I started off in Flushing, moved to Astoria. So I was around Greek, I was around Chinese, I was around a lot of different people. And you know, my mom's Colombian, my dad's Black, and so just having that in general of having those two different spaces, learning to navigate those two spaces, I think it taught me a lot. And so. It was fun. I had, you know, my parents and my grandparents were always very, very heavily involved. And so just having that relationship with my cousins, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, and just always being around family, um, and just knowing how important family was for me, in all aspects. I think that's carried over to now. You know, I try to talk to my parents every day. It's pretty hard with the time change and everything, but just trying to, you know, keep in touch with them. But I mean, I've been very fortunate and blessed to grow up the way that I did. Obviously, you know, it wasn't perfect, but you know, I think that every trial has played into who I am as a person. And so I'm just grateful for the way that I was raised.
Okay. And I've read in your bio that you went to Colombia as well.
Mhm.
May I ask when and how was that visit?
Yeah, I want to say, what am I, 24? I want to say it was maybe almost 8 years ago now,
Okay.
maybe 8 or 10 years ago.
So only
Um,
once you've been there.
yeah, I've only been
Okay.
there once. Yeah. But my grandparents go back every year when it gets cold in New York, and so they go back. So I'm always on the phone with them. Love speaking to them. They're always showing me around wherever the new places that they're going, or the places that they're staying. But I've only been there once, yeah, but it was, you know, it's good to go back and like see your culture and see your heritage and see, you know, how my grandparents grew up. My mom wasn't born in Colombia, but um, it was crazy story. She almost was born in Colombia, but she wasn't. But I grew up speaking Spanish and English at the same exact time. So that was pretty cool for me too. Just learning them both. I think when you're younger, you soak in things a lot easier and you're just a sponge when you're younger. So it was pretty cool that my mom's side of the family spoke to me in Spanish a lot. So I got to understand it, learn how to speak it, and then my dad would speak to me in English. So it's been pretty cool, but my experience going to Colombia, I loved it. I would love to go back, but when you play basketball all year round, it's kind of hard to find that time to go back, especially when I have off in the summer times, and that's when my grandparents are usually in New York. So I
Mhm.
don't really want to go because they're
Yeah,
not
there's
over
no
there.
point, right?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so but no, it's great. I loved it. Definitely gonna try to go back at some point, but yeah.
Okay. And did you ever consider playing for the Colombian national team? Because ever since you were like, I think 15, you played for, or 16, you played for the US national team, right? But when you're an adult, you can still make the decision that you want to switch. So did you ever think about like switching alliances, if I may call it like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I thought about it too much. I think that, I've been in and out of USA teams, even 3-on-3. So to kind of just make that decision to just switch is kind of a big jump.
Mhm.
Because there's still opportunities there.
Sure.
And so I mean I wouldn't mind it, if it comes to that, then of course I would love to do it. But as of right now, obviously I've been in and out a lot, so I'm just trying to figure it out on that standpoint first.
Sure, because it's a common thing here in Europe that, for example, American players play for Serbia. We have like Stefani Mavunga is actually playing for Poland. So, that's like pretty pretty easy to do if
Yeah.
yeah. And since you have the roots, the Colombian roots, it will be also like pretty easy. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your decision to move to Texas and study to Texas because you grew up in New York, and that's a pretty big cultural jump, right? To move to Texas, probably bigger than even, I don't know, coming to Australia from the US, probably comparable in the sense that the culture is really different. So how did you decide and when to go to Texas?
Yeah, I've always been very independent since I was young, and my parents kind of always knew that I would end up not close to home, so like not in New York, not kind of local. And so, I was looking at, a lot of different schools. And so once I narrowed my list down, I went on my visit to Texas. Um, and I just fell in love with it. I love the warm weather. I love the sun. That's definitely a major part for me. But when I went there, the coaches that recruited me made me feel at home. They were like a second family to me, but at the same time, you have ups and downs with your family, and your parents are on top of you, and that's how my coaches were. They wanted me to be a great leader, a great basketball player, and a great person, and I felt that from them. I felt the family aspect. I loved the university, and everything that it had to offer, from their resources, to everything that it was around. And then the girls that were there were great. I have lifelong friends with my freshman year friends. As you can see, I met up with my best friend from out here my freshman year. And so just everything. I think, I always tell high school kids like that are being recruited, like sometimes it's a feeling, and NIL wasn't a big thing back then, so it wasn't like I'm getting this much money to go to this school. But it's just a feeling for me. It was, a place that I knew I wanted to be. I knew I had the opportunity to make an impact. Um, and, I just loved the overall atmosphere of being at the University of Texas.
Yeah, and you were lucky enough to play. Well, lucky. It's partially luck, partially skills. Able to play in big programs, right? Always like so. So how did you feel when the defensive, like the awards for your defense started coming in pretty late because in 2023, right? Only then. So do you think that only then your defense was being appreciated as your main quality, or did you put extra focus on defense and just saw that, no?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always been a kid that had a motor, and I was always on the floor for defense a majority of the time. And then once my offensive level kind of caught up, and coaches saw potential in me on that offensive end, it kind of balanced it out. But um, I think, I played at Texas for 2 years, my freshman and my sophomore year. Um, and as a guard, it's kind of hard to get any defensive player of the year or accolade, just because you have, the stats that they keep track of are mainly like blocks and things like that and defensive rebounds. And so it's kind of hard to navigate that. And, obviously they have other statistical things in place that they look at for sure. But it's always hard as a guard to win anything. So I don't think that I didn't really pay attention to it in a way. I didn't really have all my focus on that. I think I was just out there playing, trying to get better. And I knew my defense was always there. Um, and my coaches knew I was just extra hard on myself either way, and they always let me know that, I'm their defensive kid, and I play really good defense, so they wanted to obviously help me keep that while also building up my offensive game. But yeah, I don't think I really paid attention to the accolades part. And then when it came in my senior year, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see, a guard in the ACC win it and then go to the Big Ten and then win it in the Big Ten too was pretty cool because I don't think people in two different have jumped conferences and won it in two different conferences. So I thought that was pretty cool. But obviously it's always cool to get recognized for your talents and your abilities. But I think for me, like I always knew I was that kid. I always knew I could play defense. I always knew I was a good defender, so I didn't really need other people to tell me that. But like I said, it's pretty cool for people to notice it for sure.
And why do you think it took the WNBA so long to understand how great of a defender you are? Like, I don't want to call it like that, but maybe you were like underappreciated in Indiana, kind of, and Connecticut sort of gave up too early. Or maybe they have like different ideas, right? They eventually went with a big because obviously teams like to go big. But then in Phoenix, the second time around, they finally saw what they had in you, and you even got a starting job. So why do you think it took like the whole season for the WNBA to understand what sort of a player you were and are
Yeah.
still?
Yeah, I think as a rookie, you come in and you're just trying to find your role. You're trying to find your spot, especially if you're not like, a household name like Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese or Camilla. Like you're trying to find your place. You're trying to find your spot. And so when I was in Indiana, I was just trying to navigate my whole rookie, year. You go into something and you're excited, but you still have a focus of making the team. And so Indiana had a different situation where we had 13 players on a roster for a certain amount of time. Somebody was injured. So one person always had to go since the beginning. Um, and so obviously, I was the rookie, so I understood that at some point it could have been me. But I got positive feedback from the coaches and the GM. And so it wasn't really a lot for them to tell me. Um, so just the positive feedback of them, telling me you've done everything we asked you to. There's only 144 spots, so it's really up to them who they decide to keep and who they decide to have in their program. Um, and it's not a knock on me. A lot of people take it as like a confidence thing, and it like, kills your confidence. But like me personally, I felt like I belonged. I knew I belonged. And so I think you have to have that, and you have to consistently have that fight and that hunger in you to know that you belong somewhere in order to get back there. Um, and I was fortunate enough, I came home once I got away from Indiana, and I don't want to say that they didn't value me. They just had other pieces ahead of me that they felt fit better for them.
Yeah, but
And
three
that
minutes per game. I mean, come on. That's a small sample size, right? And I don't want to get you in trouble or anything. This is just my
no,
opinion. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
really,
no, yeah. It's tough. It's
it's
tough when
tough. No.
you feel like you don't have that opportunity, like you're not given that opportunity. But like I said, it's only 144 people,
Sure.
only play about 6 or 7 people on the team. So it's just, it's just a part of life. It happens. Was I happy with it? No. Did I want to play? Yes. Did I express that? Yes, I expressed that. Did I demonstrate that in practice? Yes. I did all those things, but unfortunately, it's a league, it's a business, and they're gonna play who they feel is going to help them win games. And I have nothing against that, but luckily I had Phoenix who took that chance on me. Um, I played 23 minutes my first game with Phoenix against Indiana. And so, yeah, the bodies were low, but to have trust in somebody and put somebody out on the court that you just got the day before who barely knows your plays, barely knows, the type of person you are, to have that trust, I felt valued at that point. And then once, I was able to be with them just how everything worked out. I was able to be with them through the Olympic break, got to be around the girls, be around the team, be around the coaches. I think they were able to see like the work that I put in, how much of a hard worker I am, how a quick learner, just very motivated, self-driven. And I think once they saw that, they really enjoyed that. And, just with cap salary and stuff like that, they couldn't keep me, even though they expressed to me that they wanted to, they couldn't keep me. And that happens too. I went on there on a 7 day. I didn't go on there with a rest of the season contract.
Mhm.
So you kind of know in the back of your head that things happen. But luckily Connecticut picked me up right after that. Literally the next day I was playing with Connecticut. And I was there with them and I had the option to stay. Indiana had opened up some space. And so I mean Phoenix had opened up
Interesting.
some space. And so I had the option to stay with Connecticut or go to Phoenix. And um, in a way, Phoenix was giving me, I guess, better feedback in a sense. And like, people saw me play more with Phoenix, so I felt already comfortable within that organization and with the girls and with the coaches. And so ultimately, I ended up getting a rest of the season contract with Phoenix, and it's been great. I mean, definitely, obviously people are out with injury, so I, get to be a starter, but I think um, I shouldn't take that away from the work that I put in to get there and to start on a team like Phoenix, my rookie year from being waived on the team is also pretty cool too.
Okay, and I wanted to, the last question I have is, how big of a role did playing next to Diana Taurasi play in your development? Did you sort of stay after practice with her, play one-on-one, perfect your defense, or it was nothing like that? It was just enough to just have her there to show you how to like be a mentor and just influence the game.
Yeah, I think when you have vets like that, it's not so much about uh necessarily playing against them, but more of like being able to watch them. I think that you can learn a lot by watching someone, and I think that the way she came in, the way she prepared for games, for practices, the way she took care of her body, the way she spoke to her teammates, her coaches, the amount of input she had on the team, and just her voice and her leadership. I think that alone helped me grow. And like when you think back of it, like she's been playing in the league almost since I was born. And so it's crazy to go and see and be able to play with, the GOAT of women's basketball. And so obviously there's times that I'm like after the game or like when I'm, in my apartment and I'm just like, wow, like I'm literally, on the Mercury with Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Kalia Copper, Cloud, like all these people. And it's like you grew up seeing these girls, you grew up seeing them play. I used to go to a lot of Liberty games, so I used to see them play against the Liberty. And so um it's just crazy in that aspect. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like everybody always asks me like, who's one person that you think that you took the most from? Like, I think I'm such an observant person, but at the same time, I feel like every single vet that I've had, even Beck Allen, who wasn't really playing that much, who's also an Aussie, they poured into me more, and I'm so incredibly thankful for, the amount that they poured into me being a rookie, and coming in almost halfway through the season. So they've all touched me in different ways. But I mean, yeah, when you talk about playing with DT, like it's definitely something that, I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Celeste, for finding the time. Thank, thanks, and I hope you will. So your next game is on Saturday, right? If I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yes,
So good
Saturday.
luck on
Thank
Saturday,
you.
and I hope that you will have a great season, and we're gonna see you in the WNBA next year, even better, and hopefully now as a starter, as a full-time starter, maybe I should say, because you got to start for the Mercury. So thank you for
Yeah.
finding the time. And well, good luck on
Thank
on
you.
Saturday. Bye.
Thank you.